Hello, welcome to الكرامة news channel, and we start our top stories for today with the current affairs in Libya. Foreign Minister Mohammed Dairi stressed that the chances of the formation of a national consensus government have become possible, announcing consultations in the coming days in this regard. This came in a statement after his talks with his Egyptian counterpart Sameh Shukri in Cairo. Moreover, Dairi expressed his appreciation for Egypt's support for Libya's legitimacy, adding that the meeting focused on steps that will follow sign a Khiraj agreement, which was accomplished in July. Dairi also referred to the agreement held between Egypt and Libya on the need to establish a joint Arab force, which is very important in supporting the Arab national security. Deputy head of the Foreign Committee of Parliament, Salahin Al-Abaidi, announced that a parliament delegation arrived in the U.S. capital, Washington, last Friday to meet with officials in the U.S. State Department. Al-Abaidi noted that the goal of the visit is to hold a dialogue with officials of the U.S. State Department to support the parliament and the interim government. Moreover, he noted that the visit also aims at urging the United States to agree to lift the arms embargo on the Arab-Libyan armed forces and activating the agreements concluded between Libya and America. Al-Abaidi further said that a delegation from the interim government will officially visit Washington in the beginning of August. A British military source reported that London is considering sending small teams of military advisors and trainers to Libya to help the Libyan security forces to counter the threat of terrorist Daesh group. The source noted that the team role is to provide advice only without participating in any land or air military operations. For its part, the British Foreign Ministry denied any current plans to carry out airstrikes to Libya, stressing that the immediate priorities of the United Kingdom is to support reaching a suitable political settlement in Libya. And still in Libya, armed elements attacked Bawabit al-Hayla in Fatayah mountainous area southeast of Derna, controlled by terrorist Daesh group. Security sources stress that the attack killed terrorist leader Saad al-Darnisi, known as Abdullah al-Darnawi, and other two members of the group. The sources added that elements of terrorist Daesh group randomly shot fire using heavy and medium weapons in the Bab Tobruk area, resulting in material damage in one of the residential neighborhood. And about Daesh crisis in Libya, an Algerian media source said that the terrorist Daesh group in Libya is preparing to declare city of Sabratha as a state belonging to the terrorist group. The source added that the terrorist group has taken all actions concerning the announcement of the emirate, and which include designation of the state emir. The terrorist group aims to control the Sabratha because of Melita area, which has gas resources, to increase the group's financial capabilities and to attract fighters and buy weapons to fight the Arab-Libyan armed forces in Libya. And about the Arab arena, and now from Yemen, 2 days after a Saudi-led airstrike hit a residential district in Yemeni central city of Taz, residents are taking shock of the structural damage and human losses to their community. The strike on the Mocha area of the city killed 80 people and wounded more than 150 in an area inhabited mostly by engineers and workers of a power station and some displaced families. The level of damage to Mocha was clearly evident on Sunday, with multiple buildings completely destroyed and the streets littered with debris, burned out cars and household items. A coalition of Arab states led by Saudi Arabia has been bombarding Houthi forces in Yemen since last March in a bid to reinstate President Abdurrahman Mansour Hadi, who has fled to Riyadh. Saturday's airstrike hit late in the evening when most residents were out and about enjoying the cooler evening weather in a region of Yemen that can get scorching hot. The latest ceasefire announcement stated that the coalition forces would stop all military activities but reserves the right to respond to violations by the Houthis and forces loyal to former President Ali Abdullah Saleh. And now to Syria. The Kurdish YPG militia captured a town from terrorist Daesh group in northern Syria today after a month-long offensive in the area to cut their supply lines, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said. The observatory said in the town of Sarin near the Euphrates River was a launchpad for terrorist Daesh group to wage raids on the Kurdish-held town of Kobani, further north at the border with Turkey. Sarin is roughly 30 kilometers south of Kobani. A video report posted online by ANHL or our news agency today showed Kurdish forces firing weapons at terrorist Daesh group targets as part of what it called Operation Revenue of Martyr of Kobani massacre. The Syrian border town of Kobani has come under repeated assault from extremist Daesh group. Kurdish forces helped by Daesh by the US and allied air support retook control of Kobani at the end of January after a 4-month siege by terrorist Daesh elements who have seized large parts of Syria and Iraq. Today, the observatory says Syrian Kurds had taken Sarin with the help of coalition airstrikes. The YPG, backed by small Syria rebel groups, has made significant gains against terrorist Daesh group in Raqqa province, seizing Tel Abyad as the Turkish border on June 15 before advancing south and capturing the town of Anisa, 50 kilometers north of the militant Syria stronghold of Raqqa city. Iran's foreign minister arrived in Baghdad today on the final leg of his first regional trip since Tehran reached an agreement with the powers and the country's nuclear program, an agreement that raised fears among its Arab Gulf neighbors. Before traveling to Iraq, Mohammad Javad Zarif visited Kuwait and Qatar, where he called for a united front among Middle Eastern nations to fight militancy. Most Gulf Arab states are worried that Iran's July 14 accord will hasten detention between Tehran and Washington, impelling Tehran to increase backing for Middle East allies at odds with the Gulf Arab countries. Before meeting with officials in Baghdad, Zarif met with top Shia cleric Ayatollah Ali Sistani and the southern city of Najaf. At a news conference in the city, Zarif told journalists that his trip was intended to build confidence with Iran's neighbors. He said, "This is my first visit to the Persian Gulf to develop relations and open continuous discussions between the Islamic Republic of Iran and neighboring countries to achieve the interests of all countries of this region and the Islamic world, and also to achieve international peace and security, and have had good discussions and negotiations in some countries." Before his Gulf visit, Zarif said in a statement posted on his ministry's website late on Friday that Tehran would continue supporting its allies in Syria and Iraq to fight against terrorist Daesh group. Now, about Obama's tour, South Sudan's warring factions may face further international pressure if they don't reach a peace deal by August 17. U.S. President Barack Obama said today, before talks on the conflict with the East African leaders, the South Sudanese government responds by saying additional sanctions could harm the peace process. Obama in Ethiopia on a two-nation Africa tour held talks in Addis Ababa to discuss the conflict raging between President Salva Kiir's government and rebels commanded by Riek Machar. Officials said Obama and leaders from Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, Sudan and the African Union discussed options that included sanctions and regional intervention force if the warring parties don't reach a peace deal by August 17. However, the group didn't reach a consensus on what to do if the deadline comes and goes as others have done. The official added. Obama told a news conference with Ethiopian Prime Minister Halima Desalegn, who has hosted peace talks, that if we don't see a breakthrough by 17th, then we have to consider what other tools we have to apply greater pressure on the parties. Rebel spokesman James Cadret welcomed Obama's commitment and urges the government to tackle key obstacles, saying peace is possible. The United States and European Union have already imposed sanctions on individual commanders from both sides. Thousands have been killed and more than 2.2 million displaced since fighting broke out in December 2013. Both sides have been accused of human rights abuses and indiscriminate killing. Armed men opened fire at wedding ceremony in northern Afghanistan, killing at least 21 guests and wounding a provincial official said today. It was not immediately clear what prompted the attack in the northern province of Balkhan, and his insurgents' activity has increased in the province over the past year, and private militias have proliferated. One of the members of the wedding party who sustained injuries said that firing starting after a argument, violence has increased sharply this year in most parts of Afghanistan after U.S.-led forces formally ended their combat mission at the end of 2014, leaving a small contingent of about 12,000 NATO troops to train Afghan forces. And finally, from Nigeria, at least 19 suspected Boko Haram militants and 3 civilians were killed in separate attacks over the weekend after the insurgents raided several remote locations around Lake Chadian security sources today. The security source said the media was attacked by men on motorized boats, adding that the army returned fire and killed 13 assailants. Some soldiers were wounded. The same day, 3 people in Begri village had their throats slit by suspected Boko Haram fighters. He said, adding that some 2,000 inhabitants of 15 islands on the lake were forced to flee following attacks which razed the village. The insurgents are also suspected of kidnapping some 30 people in Katikal village near the lake. The hostages were taken abroad for speedboats to an unknown destination. One of the security sources said, asking not to be named. Boko Haram is fighting to establish an emirate in northeastern Nigeria, and the group has stepped up attacks in the countries around the lake in recent months in response to a regional offensive by Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger to subdue the 6-year-old insurgency. My audience, that is the wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website www.الكرامة.tv. Thanks for being with us. My greeting, Rania Biliti.